Log4j is top of mind for everybody in IT and security right now. So, on today's episode of the Go-Tanium Tech Talks, you're going to get the 411 on Log4j. Specifically, how do we use the Tanium Reveal module to find it across the enterprise? Welcome back to the Go-Tanium Tech Talks. I'm your host, Ashley McGlone. And today, I really wasn't expecting to record a show here in the US holiday season anyway. I thought everybody would be home and we'd all hope to be home, but that's not how it's worked out. Log4j has all of us on deck right now as we're addressing this industry threat. So we wanted to put together a special episode for you today, specifically on one component of the Tanium solution that's been very helpful for people. And I want to be really careful up front here to make our intentions clear. I've said this a few times on social media recently. We've seen a lot of vendors, people don't like vendors responding in the middle of a situation like this because they think it looks like ambulance chasing. But folks, that's the farthest thing of what we're here to do. We're here to actually give away free fire hoses. That's what we do. We are here to help you. So normally you would pay for the product, but we're offering free POCs to anybody right now that wants help with Log4j. And so today we want to help you in that. A big part of that, not the only part, but a big part of it is the Tanium Reveal module. We've not done any content on that module yet. So we wanted to get this out here in a timely fashion for you. Now, as you've always come to expect from this show, we are giving you the latest features from the experts at Tanium. And today on the show, I have Harmon with me. Harmon, tell folks a little bit about yourself.
Hey, absolutely. So my name is Harmon Carr. I am one of the Reveal SMEs. I've been here at Tanium for about 5 years. I also lead a team of technical account managers focused on the federal DoD side of the house.
Tell us a little bit. I know you've been working with Reveal for quite a long time, actually. Tell us about the story of this module, where it came from.
Yeah, so when we were doing market research on what module do we want to focus on next, we knew it was going to be in the area of DLP, data, sensitive data, securing data, somewhere around that realm. And we started talking to customers when we would show our Tanium Index capability, which we'll get into a little bit later, which is we index everything that's on disk. People were asking, hey, well, can I look inside those files? Like, what data is inside those files? There was a lot of solutions. Hey, I know how to stop data before it leaves, whether it's through email or other ways, but I just don't know what data actually resides in those files. How do we find the data at rest? So that's where the impetus behind Reveal was to focus on data rest. So we take all of the files on disk and we go through and look at what's inside of those and then help you decide whether sensitive data exists there or not.
So what I hear you saying is that Index will show us where files exist and their properties like file names and dates and hashes and things like that. But if you want to look inside that file, the actual data it contains, that's where Tanium Reveal helps. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yep. So we will just take Index one step further and look inside those files. You get to decide what sensitive data means to you. Every organization, it's something a little different. Hospitals, it's HIPAA, right? So banks, PCI is important. So credit card type of information is important to them. So every organization is different. We'll look inside those files and let you decide if sensitive data resides there or not.
Or it could just be good old fashioned IT folks that put passwords in files. We know nobody ever does that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So why don't you show us, start us off easy here with a demo of Index so we can see what we're talking about and kind of maybe we can build up from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you have Index already in your environment, you're probably like 50% of the way there with Reveal.
And just to clarify, how do we get Index in the environment?
That's a really good question. So if you do not have Index today and you install Reveal, Reveal will install Index. That is just something that will happen in the background. There is no fancy configuration or anything that you need to do. Index will just come as part of Reveal. If you have Threat Response, Index is part of our threat response module, so that is something that you can use to deploy Index. We also have two other modules, Asset and Integrity Monitor, that also use our Index capability. So if you have those two, you might also have Index in your environment today. What Index allows you to do is you can ask questions such as index get file details. And what this sensor allows you to do is it's a parameterized sensor. You can look for certain types of files. You can look for files by name, files by size, etc. Right now, we know jar files are something that are of interest. So I can just put star.jar and go ahead and search for that. And what this is going to do is return everywhere that we have seen a jar file in the environment. So this is just going to take a couple seconds to come back and find that information for me. I could further specify and look for log4j.jar, whatever it is, that whatever file name that you want to use and the data file name you want to look for, you can use a sensor like this to be able to find this data. So here we're seeing a lot of jar files that are coming back, and some of them have references to that log4j that we talked about.
All right. So this gives us a lot of flexibility then on how to find the files wherever they may be in the enterprise, whatever path they may be in. So I'm guessing then the next step would be to look inside those files, because what I've heard, I've watched some webinars like everybody else. I've been part of some of our response here. And from what I understand, that all these log4j things are not easy to find just by file name. Sometimes it's buried in a file. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's where Reveal comes in handy. When we saw this vulnerability, the first thing a few people jumped to was, well, can we use Reveal? And we have a capability in Reveal called Quick Search. And I kind of joke, and Quick Search sort of looks like an Interact within the Reveal module, where you can just like search for whatever sensitive data, whatever piece of data, whether it's chemical formulas, log4j, etc., and search for that phrase here and see, does that exist anywhere in my enterprise? So with Quick Search, you can actually search for things like log4j, and I'm just going to type that in, and it's going to go ahead and try to find every single machine that has a match for log4j. So here we can see some results coming back. So these are the computer names that have the log4j hit. It's not going to show me where the sensitive data resides until I actually open a live connection to view that. So I'll go ahead and open a live connection to one of these machines to be able to see where the sensitive data is. So in this live connection, you can see all the files that are impacted that have the log4j reference. And this is the directory that it's inside, and this is how many matches of log4j that we found. So I'll open this file name right here, and you can see where we have matched on the quick search that I searched for, and that's highlighted for you.
Wow. So the beauty of Tanium is this arbitrary search capability. So we could literally put in any keyword that we needed, because log4j is just one of these things. There's lots of others that have come and gone, Apache struts and different ones that have been a problem over time. So it doesn't have to be just log4j. We could search for anything. That's really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. We have customers that are using quick search to search for chemical formulas, proprietary chemical formulas that users shouldn't be storing on their machines. We have customers looking for social security numbers. There's endless use cases with quick search.
All right. Now, I know in our public guidance in the community post that we'll reference at the end of the talk today, that there were some other things that we could do to make this process easier for folks.
So with Reveal, there's actually two ways to surface sensitive information. So one is that quick search, ad hoc, search for something really quickly and get results back quick. The other one is rules, and rules, what they do is allow you to sort of automate your quick search. Rules are based on two things. You can base them off of regexes or keywords, and those are what we call patterns. You can create a rule based on number of patterns that come out of the box, or you can create your own custom patterns. For this vulnerability in our community site, we actually released a number of patterns that you can use and implement in your own environment. So here's 3 patterns that we have introduced that we think are helpful and helpful to search for this vulnerability. And what you can do is, it's as simple as going into the Reveal module and going into this gear icon on the top right, going to Patterns Definitions tab, downloading a JSON file, which you will take this community post and go ahead and copy this over into that JSON file. So it will look something like this, and then just re-upload it back into Reveal. So as soon as you do that, as soon as you re-upload those back into Reveal, they will be available to you to use as a rule. So you'll come into here, create a rule, and add that pattern. So here's the 3 patterns that we have introduced in our community site to help surface this vulnerability.
So for the beginner, then, so I can interactively type things in the search, or if I have a rule, it's just there already pre-formatted for me, and I don't have to worry about typing in that crazy long regex every time.
Yeah, exactly. And as soon as we start finding matches for the pattern that you have specified, we start surfacing, and you can see there's 3 impacted endpoints here. And this is very similar to the quick search concept. What we do is you're going to see the affected endpoints come back in this list, and you'll see your results. You can see the computer name, operating system, how many files were matched, etc. We will again surface that information as far as where we found this match once you do a live connection. So if I do a live connection to this machine right here, I can see all the files that are impacted and that have the match that I've specified in my pattern.
So we've looked at starting off with index, that we find all the files, and then reveal takes us inside those files. Now, from what I understand, there's different file types that are involved here, and some of those might even be nested. So can you talk a little bit about the file types and nesting that people are looking for with Log4j?
Yeah, absolutely. So Reveal can find sensitive data inside of PDFs, Excel files, PowerPoints, Words, SQLite databases. There's a number of files that we support, pretty much all of the commonly found files on a workstation. Reveal can actually look inside and help surface sensitive data. As far as nested files, this is a concern that's come up with this vulnerability. What if there is nested files, and that's where the vulnerability resides, or the reference to a potential vulnerability resides? We've done some testing internally. We did testing where we nested 10 zips, and we were able to find the reference to the match that we were looking for. The limit is not the number of times a file is nested. It is our limit of the size of the file that we will actually index using Reveal, which is 32 megs. So anything larger than that, we will not be able to parse, but it could be nested 20 times and be under that size limit, and we will surface the sensitive data.
All right, so I've got to ask this question now. At this scale, talking about this number of files, what about false positives? Is that a thing, and how are those handled?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There are obviously going to be false positives that arise. And how do you deal with that? We have a concept of what we call validations, and what validations allow you to do, be able to tell Reveal, hey, this is a true positive or this is a false positive. So this is our live connection. We have just gone into a rule where we've seen a match, and we have opened up a file where we are seeing the pattern matches come in. And let's say we decide, hey, this 2.4, anything that has the 2.4 is actually a hit that we don't care about. With using validations, you can go ahead and reject it and say, hey, Reveal, this is not something I care about. Or on the contrary, it is something that we care about today. And you can confirm it and you make it a confirmed hit. And what that does is anytime we see this in this exact context for this rule again, we will surface it to the top so that analysts can spend less time looking for the same matches that they've confirmed previously. So Reveal just gets smarter in that sense as you use it more and apply more validations.
Very nice. Now, I know lots of Tanium modules have sensors associated with them. You just opened up talking about index sensors. Are there sensors that people can use maybe to spot check things that they find, that Reveal finds in the background?
Yeah, there's a few different Reveal sensors I think that are worth noting here. First is our Reveal status sensor. And what this does is it gives you, especially if you are deploying Reveal for the first time and you're wondering, what is the status of this? Is this everywhere? Is Reveal still working on its initial pass? What is happening with Reveal? You can use this Reveal status sensor, and you can go ahead and get a look at where Reveal is installed, how many files have been indexed by Reveal, how many files are potentially pending, and it gives you a good kind of estimate on the Reveal's progression through your environment.
And so that's also, it sounds like a good way to just double check on the health of it, but also to understand, do we have full coverage? Is it fully deployed yet? Did we get it all out there, all the machines, that kind of thing?
Exactly. So you can see here, Reveal is installed false. There's a number of machines that Reveal is not installed on. Maybe that's something that we need to take care of and figure out, why is Reveal not installed on those endpoints?
And that's a beautiful segue to the question on everybody's mind. When it is installed, what type of impact is this going to have on the endpoint? Because I can just imagine, classic methods of determining is a string in any of the files on my hard drive. That would be like this massive disk intensive thing. So help us understand, what's the impact on the endpoint?
Yeah, so the impact on the endpoint is minimal. And what we have seen in the enterprise is, for most customers, users absolutely never even know something like this has been installed, whether they're running quick searches constantly or looking at rules to see if there's any matches, making that direct connection to be able to view that sensitive data. We are not seeing very many reports, if at all, of users being impacted by the user reveal. It is a very, very lightweight. We have designed it in that way. Our focus was data arrest. And what that meant was to also focus on making sure the impact to that endpoint was also very minimal. Reveal does reserve 1 gig for a Reveal database that gets built when Reveal is installed. And that's where all of the data, all of the files that we parse and find the data, sensitive data in, that's where that gets stored, is on the endpoint itself. That data is tokenized, it's hashed, it is secure, and that database just keeps getting updated on a regular basis as files change. So the impact is very, very minimal.
Okay, next question. So you sold me on all that. Now I need to know, okay, I'm an admin, and a lot of admins watch this show, right? So what do I need to know? Let's say I just signed up for the free trial at Reveal. What do I need to know to get this working up and running as fast as I can in my environment?
Yeah, Reveal is actually a very, very simple module to install. The only caveat and the biggest question being is, do you have Index already in your environment? If you have Index already in your environment through Threat Response and you have Index CX, you're 50% of the way there. All you need to do is go ahead and import Reveal, assign the correct action group where you want Reveal to be installed, and things will start going ahead and turning on their own. Tools will get deployed, Reveal will start doing its initial parse, and you'll be able to use quick search. If you do not have Index deployed, then it is going to take a slightly bit longer for you to get Reveal up and running. You will go ahead, in the same mechanism, import Reveal, go ahead and assign an action group. The initial pass of Index will just take slightly longer to happen before Reveal can get installed and start doing its work.
Now, we're just talking about Reveal, specifically in the context of Log4j. And I know before this call, you and I were discussing that this is not the complete solution here. Could you talk for just a second about some of the other Tanium components involved when we're specifically addressing Log4j?
Yeah, so absolutely. So Reveal is not the only module that is being used for Log4j. So I talked about Index. Index is definitely a huge part of helping surface the Log4j vulnerability, searching for those Log4j reference file names. Threat response is also really, really valuable, especially understanding if there is anywhere that it's been exploited. Threat response is our module where you can do those types of investigations. Also, the other thing that I want to point out is anytime there is references to Log4j that are seen using Reveal, using Index, using any of our sensors, we also have the capability to quarantine that endpoint. So if that is a path that an organization wants to pursue, is just quarantine that machine until they do follow-up investigation and do other, look in details, look deeper into that endpoint, they can go ahead and apply that quarantine rule as well.
Well, we're just about out of time here. I think we've covered most of the points that I can think of. Is there anything else that you would like to make sure that our viewers and admins out there know before we wrap up this episode on Reveal?
Yeah, the only thing I want to mention is if there's any additional questions or if anyone wants a deeper dive into Reveal or need any help configuring Reveal, please do not hesitate to reach out at all. We are happy to help.
Harmon, thank you for this tour of the Tanium Reveal module as we get the 411 on Log4j today on Go-Tanium Tech Talks. This has been super helpful, and it has helped me as well, because I know we're all on deck right now to find this in our environment. And like we said, the real value here is that you're not only able to see what files are on your endpoint, but what's inside those files. Now, here I've got a few things I want to share with you as we wrap up. So number one, if you're looking for just general guidance on the Reveal module itself, out at Tanium Community, we have product central pages. So if you go to community.tanium.com, up there at the top, you'll see the product central bar. Just drop that down and look for the Reveal module there. That has a link to community posts, or directly to docs.tanium.com for our full documentation there. So we've got plenty of self-serve content to help you with questions as you're getting up and going with this new module. Also, just a few things to think about as we're kind of summing up what this module really does for us. This gives us this amazing ability to search for arbitrary strings, right? You think about all the different products on the market today that might have hard-coded solutions. Well, this lets you be in control of what you're searching for, like that dynamic query box we just saw a minute ago, right? And it does it at scale really fast. And that's what we need right now while this is going on. Also, the other key point here, you heard Harmon say multiple times, mentioning there's tokens and hashing and all kinds of security mechanisms in place to make sure that this data doesn't come off the endpoint because of the Tanium tools. Any sensitive data specifically stays on that endpoint. It doesn't leave. So you're not distributing or disturbing any of that sensitive data on the endpoint. That's really important to remember as well. And we talked about other modules that are involved. Reveal is just the visibility piece of this. The remediation you can do with traditional Tanium packages and other methods to take action on the endpoints. Also, this is just Log4j. Folks, we've known about this for a few years already. It was talked about at Black Hat several years ago that this could happen. We've seen it now, but across your environment, there are lots of other tools with similar things that you might want to be concerned about indexing and having this ability to index the configuration of applications and things in your environment. So while Log4j is the flavor of the day, and probably the next few weeks and months and years to come, there are still lots of other things. So just be aware of that there are other applications and sensitive data use cases where Reveal can also help you. Now, Tanium, when Log4j hit, we scrambled like most people in the industry. We scrambled. We put some resources out there. Got a lot of content available for you. So if you hit this bit.ly link, bit.ly/Tanium Log4j, it'll take you to tanium.com, where we have a launch page that's going to give you information on how to get a free trial. Like I said, we're in the business of giving out free fire hoses when stuff like this happens. So if you want a free trial for Tanium or just the Reveal module, if you're already a customer, you can find that there. There's also the community post that she mentioned is linked from this, as well as some other really good video resources and documentation resources to give you what you need in this fight against Log4j. So those resources are all there. And as usual, you can interact with us in the Go-Tanium discussions out on the community forum. And if you'd ever like to be a guest on the show, you could send us an email at go@tanium.com. Well, that wraps our show of Go-Tanium Tech Talks here today, the 411 on Log4j. And at least certain parts of the world right now, it's kind of a holiday time when people are expecting to be off with family and friends. I hope you're able to do that and maybe have a cup of eggnog, not my taste necessarily, maybe some hot chocolate, whatever your drink of choice is. I hope you're able to find some time between fighting fires. Hopefully this free fire hose will help. Till next time, Go-Tanium.